We're moving into your beach house, Mom's text read. Your sister needs a fresh start. I activated the security system. Property of Coastal Empire Holdings, CEO James Mitchell. Their cars stopped at the gate when. The text message arrived at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday while I was reviewing acquisition proposals in my corner office overlooking San Francisco Bay. My mother's words glowed on the screen with the casual entitlement I'd spent 15 years trying to escape. Lauren, your sister Ashley is going through a difficult time with a divorce. We've decided the beach house would be perfect for her to heal. We're moving her in this weekend. I know you barely use it anyway. No question mark. No request for permission. Just a statement of fact, as if my property was still theirs to distribute among the family as they saw fit. I set down my coffee and read it again, letting the familiar burn of old wounds spread through my chest. The beach house in Malibu wasn't just a vacation property. It was the first major purchase I'd made after Coastal Empire Holdings went public, a $3 million architectural masterpiece I'd bought with money I earned myself, built with strategies I developed, and furnished with taste nobody in my family could comprehend. My phone buzzed again. Ashley this time. Thanks so much for letting me stay at your place. Mom said you were totally cool with it. I really need this right now. Derek was such a narcissist. I deserve somewhere beautiful to recover. I almost laughed. Derek was Ashley's third husband, and from what I'd gathered during obligatory holiday phone calls, he'd committed the unforgivable sin of expecting her to contribute financially to their household. Ashley had never worked a day in her life, bouncing from one wealthy boyfriend to another until she'd finally landed a husband who could maintain the lifestyle our parents had convinced her she deserved. My assistant Jennifer knocked on the glass door. Your 10 o'clock is here. Give me 5 minutes. I pulled up my contact list and found James Mitchell, my business partner and the man whose name appeared on all my personal property deeds. It was a strategic choice I'd made years ago when my family first started asking for money. If they couldn't trace my assets back to me, they couldn't make claims on them. James answered on the first ring. What's wrong? My family is trying to move into the Malibu house. I need you to activate the full security protocol. The one with the automated response system? Everything. Gates, cameras, the works. And James? Make sure the property records are prominently displayed. He was quiet for a moment. You sure about this? There's no walking it back once they see your name attached to my holding company. I'm done walking on eggshells. They've been bleeding me dry for years, and I never said no loud enough. This ends now. After my meeting, I dove into my emails, trying to focus on the healthcare startup we were considering for acquisition. But my mind kept drifting to the inevitable confrontation ahead. My family had always treated me like the family ATM, the successful daughter who owed them for the privilege of being raised in their household. Never mind that they'd spent my childhood telling me I wasn't as pretty as Ashley, wasn't as charming, wasn't as deserving of their attention. I remembered being 8 years old, watching my mother fuss over Ashley's dance recital costume while my science fair project sat forgotten on the kitchen table. I built a working model of the solar system with lights and rotating planets, spending weeks perfecting the mechanics. My mother glanced at it once and said, "That's nice, dear. Now help me pin Ashley's tutu." The message had been clear from the beginning. Ashley was the star, and I was the supporting cast. By the time I was 12, I'd stopped expecting anything different. While Ashley got a new wardrobe every season, I wore hand-me-downs from cousins. While she took horseback riding lessons and traveled with friends to Europe, I worked part-time jobs and saved every penny for college. My parents called it teaching me responsibility, but Ashley's responsibilities apparently included choosing which luxury summer camp to attend. High school was worse. Ashley dated the quarterback, went to prom in a designer dress, and got a new car for her 16th birthday. I got a used bike and a lecture about gratitude. When I earned a full scholarship to Stanford, my mother's first response was, "Well, at least we can focus on Ashley's college fund now. She'll need to go somewhere prestigious." Ashley went to a state school and dropped out after 2 years to marry boyfriend number 1. But I graduated top of my class, earned my MBA, and started working in tech consulting. Within 5 years, I'd identified a gap in the market for healthcare management software and convinced James Mitchell, a veteran investor I'd met through work, to partner with me. Coastal Empire Holdings started as a two-person operation in a cramped office in San Jose. Now we had 300 employees and revenues approaching $500 million annually. Through it all, my family treated my success like a happy accident, a stroke of luck that obligated me to share. They called when they needed cash for Ashley's second wedding, for my father's boat, for my mother's kitchen renovation, for endless emergencies that somehow always required exactly the amount I'd recently mentioned having in savings. I gave it to them, every time. Some pathetic part of me still wanted their approval, still hoped that maybe if I was generous enough, they'd finally see me as valuable. The breaking point had come 6 months earlier, during Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house in Orange County. Ashley had just announced her separation from Derek, crying about how he'd asked her to get a job to help with their mortgage payments. "Can you believe it?" she'd sobbed. "Like I'm some common waitress. He knew who he was marrying." My mother had patted her hand sympathetically. "Don't worry, sweetheart. Lauren will help you out. Won't you, Lauren?" All eyes turned to me. My father smiled expectantly. Ashley looked at me with red-rimmed eyes and a practiced pout. "How much do you need?" I'd asked, already knowing I'd regret it. "Just enough to get my own place. Maybe $50,000 to start?" Derek's being so difficult about the asset split. $50,000? Enough to fund a startup, to change someone's life, to mean something. But to Ashley, it was just walking around money, a temporary bridge until she found her next meal ticket. I'd written the check. But something had crystallized in that moment, watching my sister pocket money that represented months of my work without even saying thank you. I was done. After Thanksgiving, I'd called a family lawyer and restructured everything. All my properties went into James's holding company. My personal bank accounts were moved to institutions my family didn't know about. I set up trusts and barriers, creating distance between my wealth and their expectations. I'd been waiting for them to push too far, and apparently, that moment had arrived. My phone rang around noon. My mother, her voice sharp with irritation. "Lauren, there's been some mistake. Ashley and I drove down to Malibu, and there's a gate across the driveway with some company name on it. The code you gave me last year isn't working." "I never gave you a code, Mom. I gave you permission to visit, once, under supervision." "Don't be ridiculous. Anyway, can you call whoever handles the property and tell them to let us in? We have a moving truck coming tomorrow." "No." Silence stretched between us. I could picture her face, the confusion giving way to anger. "Excuse me?" I said no. "You're not moving into my house. Ashley's not moving into my house. Nobody is moving into my house without my explicit permission, which I haven't given. Lauren Marie Foster, this is absurd. Family helps family. Ashley needs support right now, and you have plenty of space." "Family helps family?" I laughed, and it came out bitter. "Is that why you took Ashley to Paris for her graduation and gave me a card with $20 in it? Is that why you paid for her 3 weddings but told me I should have a small ceremony to save money when I got engaged? Is that why every time I've achieved something, you've found a way to make it about how I can benefit Ashley? You've always been so sensitive. We treated you girls equally. You treated us like Ashley was the princess and I was the bank. And I'm done. If you don't let your sister stay in that house, don't expect to be welcome at family gatherings anymore." The threat hung in the air, and I felt something inside me settle into place. The fear of losing them, of being cast out, had controlled me for decades. But sitting in my office, looking out at the empire I'd built, I realized I'd already lost them. I'd never actually had them. "That's fine, Mom. Enjoy your holidays." I hung up while she was still sputtering. Jennifer knocked again. "Everything okay? You look stressed." "Just cutting some dead weight from my life. How's the Thompson merger looking?" We dove into work, and I pushed thoughts of my family aside. But my phone kept buzzing. Texts from Ashley, from my father, from my Aunt Carol who I barely spoke to. All of them variations on the same theme: I was being selfish, unreasonable, cruel. None of them acknowledged the years of being treated as less than. None of them remembered the countless times they'd taken from me without asking. The narrative they'd constructed had no room for my perspective, my pain, my right to say no. Around 3 p.m., James called. "They're at the gate. Your mother and sister." They're demanding entry, saying they have legal right to the property. Are the cameras recording? Everything's documented. There's also a moving truck behind them. I pulled up the security feed on my computer. There they were, my mother standing beside her Mercedes, Ashley in her Range Rover, and a U-Haul truck idling behind them. My mother was gesturing animatedly at the intercom, her face red with fury. "Activate the automated system," I said. James hesitated. "You sure? This is going to be brutal." "They've been brutal to me my entire life. They just called it love." He clicked something on his end, and I watched the screen as the security system came to life. A large digital display mounted on the gate flickered on, showing the property details in stark black letters: property of Coastal Empire Holdings. CEO, James Mitchell. Owner, Lauren Marie Foster, Chief Operating Officer. Private residence. No trespassing. The camera caught my mother's face as she read the display, confusion shifting to shock. She turned to Ashley, pointing at the screen. Ashley was scrolling furiously on her phone, probably searching for Coastal Empire Holdings, about to discover that her nobody sister was actually worth more than everyone in the family combined. The intercom crackled to life with a pre-recorded message in a professional female voice: "This is private property. You are being recorded. Unauthorized entry will result in prosecution. Please vacate the premises immediately." My mother pressed the call button, her voice shrill through the speaker. "Lauren, I know you can hear me. This is ridiculous. We're your family." The automated system responded, "This property is protected by law. Continued harassment will result in legal action. This is your final warning." I watched Ashley lean out her car window, yelling something I couldn't hear. The moving truck driver looked uncomfortable, probably calculating whether his fee was worth this drama. My mother tried the call button again. "You ungrateful little..." The system cut her off. "Police have been notified of a disturbance. Please leave immediately." That was a bluff. I hadn't actually called the cops yet. But it worked. My mother said something sharp to Ashley, and both cars began backing down the driveway. The moving truck followed, and within minutes, the feed showed an empty gate. My phone exploded with messages. "Ashley, how dare you humiliate us like that? Mom is devastated. My father, your mother is in tears. I hope you're proud of yourself. My mother, you've always been jealous of Ashley. This is just petty revenge." I blocked all their numbers and closed my laptop. Jennifer appeared in the doorway. "I'm heading out unless you need anything else." "I'm good. See you tomorrow." She paused. "For what it's worth, I heard some of that. You did the right thing." After she left, I sat in the quiet office, waiting to feel guilty or sad or something other than relieved. But the relief was all there was, a lightness in my chest that had been absent for years. I'd spent my entire life trying to earn love from people who decided before I was even old enough to understand that I was worth less than my sister. Every achievement had been downplayed, every request met with eye rolls, every boundary trampled because family doesn't keep score. But they kept score. They just waited the game so I could never win. My phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Lauren? It's Aunt Carol." I sighed. "Let me guess. You're calling to tell me how disappointed you are." "Actually, I'm calling to say it's about damn time." That caught me off guard. "What?" "Your mother just called me, ranting about your beach house. She told me the whole story, expecting sympathy. But sweetie, I've watched them treat you like garbage your entire life. I'm glad you finally stood up for yourself." My throat tightened. "You noticed?" Everyone noticed. Most of us just didn't have the guts to say anything. Your mother has always been difficult, and your father goes along with whatever keeps the peace. Ashley's been spoiled rotten since birth. But you? You made something of yourself despite them, not because of them. We talked for 20 minutes, and she told me stories I'd never heard, times she'd argued with my mother about the favoritism, family gatherings where my accomplishments were deliberately downplayed, conversations where my mother had admitted she found Ashley easier to love because she was more affectionate. "You were always so independent," Aunt Carol said. Your mother took that as rejection. She never understood that kids become independent when they learn their needs won't be met otherwise. After we hung up, I sat in the darkening office and cried. Not sad tears, but the kind that come when you finally allow yourself to acknowledge a wound you've been pretending didn't exist. The days that followed brought predictable drama. My mother tried to reach me through coworkers, family friends, even my ex-fiancé from 6 years ago. Ashley posted vague things on social media about toxic people and blood being thicker than water, apparently not knowing the full phrase is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. My father sent one email, "Your mother is hurt. I don't understand what happened, but families should work through problems together." I wrote back, "We never worked through problems together. You swept them under the rug and expected me to smile. I'm done smiling." He didn't respond. 3 weeks after the gate incident, I received a certified letter from a lawyer representing Ashley. She was claiming that I'd verbally promised her use of the beach house and that my refusal was causing her emotional distress during an already difficult time. I forwarded it to my legal team and forgot about it. The case was nonsense and would go nowhere. But the letter did something unexpected. It freed me completely. Whatever small voice had been whispering that maybe I was overreacting, maybe I should give them another chance, went silent. They'd actually tried to sue me for access to my property. The audacity was almost funny. James took me to dinner that night, a small celebration of surviving what he called family litigation bullshit. "You know what the crazy part is?" I said, working on my second glass of wine. "I don't miss them. I thought I would, but I just feel lighter." "That's because they were never giving you anything worth missing. They were taking." For years, I thought something was wrong with me. Like I was defective because I couldn't make them love me the way they loved Ashley. "Nothing's wrong with you. Something's wrong with them." He paused. "You know the beach house is sitting empty. Have you been out there since all this happened?" I hadn't. The property felt tainted somehow, contaminated by their entitlement. "Maybe you should go. Reclaim it. Make new memories that have nothing to do with them." The following weekend, I drove down to Malibu alone. The gate opened smoothly with my code, and I pulled up to the house as sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple. The ocean stretched endlessly beyond the deck, waves rolling in with steady rhythm. I walked through the rooms, really seeing them for the first time in months. The open floor plan with floor-to-ceiling windows, the chef's kitchen I designed myself, the master suite with a balcony overlooking the water. Every detail reflected my taste, my choices, my money. This was mine. Not because I was given it, not because I inherited it, but because I'd earned it. I spent the night there, drinking wine on the deck and listening to the waves. My phone stayed silent, but blocked numbers couldn't reach me, and everyone else in my life had accepted my boundaries without drama. Around midnight, I realized this was the first time in my adult life I'd felt truly at peace. No obligation hanging over my head, no guilt gnawing at my conscience, no voice telling me I owed something to people who'd never valued me. Monday morning, I was back in the office reviewing quarterly reports when Jennifer buzzed me. "Your sister's lawyer is online too. Says it's important." I debated letting it go to voicemail, but curiosity won. Put them through. "Ms. Foster, this is Richard Warren. I represent Ashley Foster in her claim regarding the Malibu property." "I'm aware. My lawyers have already filed a response." "Yes, well, I've reviewed the situation more thoroughly, and I wanted to reach out personally. My client may have been overzealous in her claims. We're prepared to withdraw the lawsuit." Smart choice, considering she had zero legal standing. "Indeed. However, Ms. Ashley Foster would like to propose a settlement." "No. I haven't explained the terms yet." "I don't need to hear them. My sister wants something from me, and the answer is no." "Is there anything else?" Silence. "Then, may I speak candidly, Ms. Foster?" "Please." "Your family has been difficult clients. They seem to believe that emotional appeals constitute legal arguments. I've tried to explain that the law doesn't care about hurt feelings or family expectations, but they're insistent that you owe them support. I'm withdrawing from the case effective immediately." I smiled. "Good luck with your next clients, Mr. Warren." "And to you, Ms. Foster. For what it's worth, boundaries are healthy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." The lawsuit officially disappeared 2 days later. I heard through Aunt Carol that Ashley had gone through 3 lawyers, none of whom were willing to take a case with no merit. My mother had apparently called everyone in the extended family, trying to rally support, but most people were staying neutral or quietly siding with me. Your cousin Rebecca said something I thought you'd appreciate, Aunt Carol told me during one of our now regular phone calls. She said, if Lauren's so terrible, why does everyone want her money? Fall turned to winter, and my life developed a new rhythm. Work flourished, we closed 2 major acquisitions and expanded into 3 new markets. I dated casually, made new friends, and spent weekends at the beach house without guilt or anxiety. I sent Aunt Carol the code to the gate and told her she was welcome anytime. She visited once, bringing her husband, and we spent a weekend cooking and talking and laughing. She told me more stories about my childhood, filling in gaps I hadn't known existed. Your mother was always competitive, she explained over morning coffee on the deck. Even as girls, she needed to win, to be the center of attention. When you were born, I think she saw you as a reflection on her. Ashley was easier, she wanted the same things your mother wanted. But you were different, independent. Your mother took that as a personal failure. That's her problem, not mine. Exactly. It took you long enough to figure that out. Around Christmas, a card arrived from my father. Just a store-bought card with a generic message and his signature. No apology, no acknowledgement of what had happened, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I threw it away without a second thought. Jennifer asked what I was doing for the holidays, and I realized I had no obligations for the first time in my adult life. Probably working, I said. Come to my family's dinner. My mom makes enough food for an army, and she's been telling me to bring you around. I went and spent Christmas Day with people who barely knew me but treated me with more warmth than my blood relatives ever had. Jennifer's mother hugged me when I arrived and told me I was too thin, that I worked too hard, that I needed to relax more. It was intrusive and overbearing and exactly what I'd always wanted from my own mother. The new year brought new challenges and opportunities. Coastal Empire Holdings was approached about a potential merger with a larger corporation, something that would make me wealthy beyond anything I'd imagined. James and I spent weeks in negotiations, hammering out terms that would protect our employees and preserve our company culture. During one particularly long meeting, my phone buzzed with a call from a number I didn't recognize. I ignored it, but it called back immediately. Then again. During a break, I checked my voicemail. Ashley's voice, tearful and desperate, "Lauren, please call me back. It's an emergency. Mom's in the hospital." My first instinct was panic, the old programming kicking in. Then I paused and really listened to the message. Ashley sounded stressed but not devastated. This had the energy of manipulation, not genuine crisis. I called Aunt Carol instead. "Do you know anything about Mom being in the hospital?" "Oh, that. She had some chest pains yesterday, went to the ER, and it turned out to be acid reflux. She's completely fine. They sent her home after a few hours." "Let me guess, Ashley's calling it a heart attack and expecting me to come running." "Probably. Your mother has been milking it for attention. She told me she thought the stress of Lauren's betrayal was literally killing her." I laughed, dark and sharp. "Tell her I said she should try meditation. I didn't call Ashley back. If it had been a real emergency, someone would have actually communicated instead of playing games." The merger went through in March, and overnight my net worth jumped to something I couldn't quite comprehend. James and I celebrated quietly, both of us aware that this kind of wealth came with its own complications. "You know they're going to come back," he said over champagne. "You're a family. Once news gets out about the merger, they'll appear with new reasons why you owe them. Let them try. I've got good lawyers and better boundaries." He was right. Within a week of the public announcement, my phone lit up with messages from numbers I'd blocked. They left voicemails on my work line, sent emails, even tried to contact Jennifer. My mother somehow got the number for the company's main reception and called daily, claiming she needed to speak to me about urgent family business. I instructed our receptionist to block her number and file the cease and desist letter through my attorney. The message was clear: leave me alone or face legal consequences. Ashley tried a different approach, showing up at the Coastal Empire Holdings lobby one afternoon. Security called me, and I told them to remove her from the property. "She says she's your sister," the guard said, sounding uncertain. "I don't have a sister. Please escort her out." Through the security camera feed, I watched her being walked to the exit, her face red with anger and humiliation. Part of me felt bad, the same part that had enabled their behavior for years. But the larger part, the part that had grown strong and sure, felt nothing but resolve. The harassment continued sporadically for months. Letters, emails, occasional attempts to reach me through business contacts. Each time, I responded with silence or legal action. They trained me to respond to their demands, to jump when they called, and breaking that pattern meant being willing to be the villain in their story. I was okay with that. A year after the beach house incident, I received an invitation to Ashley's wedding. Number 4. The note inside was written in my mother's handwriting, "Despite everything, you're still family. Ashley hopes you'll put aside your grudges and celebrate this happy occasion with us." I didn't RSVP. I didn't send a gift. I didn't acknowledge it at all. Aunt Carol called after the wedding. "You missed quite a show. The groom is 20 years older and apparently very wealthy. Your mother spent the reception telling anyone who'd listen about her successful daughter who works in tech. No mention of the beach house drama or the lawsuit. Of course not. In her version, none of that happened. You know what the best part was? Someone asked about you, and your mother got all vague and uncomfortable. She's finally realizing that cutting you out means she can't brag about your achievements anymore. I'd worried that cutting off my family would leave a void, but the opposite proved true. Without their constant demands and criticism, I had space for relationships that actually nourished me. I grew closer to Aunt Carol and her family. Jennifer became a genuine friend. I dated someone for several months, and when it ended, it was amicable and adult. The beach house became my sanctuary. I'd spend weekends there, sometimes working, sometimes reading, sometimes just existing without the weight of obligation. I installed a telescope on the deck and started learning about astronomy. I took up painting, badly at first, but with slowly improving skill. I learned what peace felt like, and it was nothing like the conditional acceptance I'd mistaken for love all those years. 2 years after the gate incident, I received a Facebook message from my father. I almost deleted it unread, but something made me click. "Lauren, I know you probably won't read this, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. I've been thinking a lot about how we treated you, and you were right. We did favor Ashley, and we did take advantage of your success. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I recognize what we did." I read it 3 times, searching for the catch, the request hidden in the apology. But there was nothing else. Just an acknowledgement, simple and direct. I didn't respond immediately. I let it sit for a week, testing my feelings, making sure I wasn't falling back into old patterns. Finally, I wrote back, "Thank you for saying that. I'm not ready for a relationship right now, and I may never be. But I appreciate the acknowledgement." He responded, "I understand. If you ever change your mind, I'm here." No expectations. We didn't reconcile. I didn't invite him to the beach house or resume family dinners. But there was something in his apology, imperfect as it was, that allowed me to let go of the anger I'd been carrying. My mother and Ashley never apologized. According to Aunt Carol, they'd constructed an elaborate narrative where I was the villain, the ungrateful daughter who turned her back on family when they needed me most. In their version, they'd done nothing wrong. I was fine with that too. Their story didn't have to be true for them to believe it, and I didn't need them to understand my perspective to move forward. 3 years after the gate incident, on a sunny afternoon in June, I sat on my deck in Malibu with a glass of wine and a book. The waves rolled in, steady and constant. My phone was on silent. My calendar was clear. I'd spent decades chasing approval from people who'd decided before I was old enough to protest that I wasn't worthy of their love. I'd twisted myself into shapes I'd barely recognized, trying to earn something that was never actually on offer. James called while I was watching the sunset. "Just closed the Patterson deal. $15 million in revenue, minimum." That's incredible. I could hear the celebration happening in the background of the